in a while. But as my team and I have been looking at how do we continue to add value, communicate with our friends, fans, and followers, we thought, hey, let's just go live every Thursday and take a topic that I'm experiencing around gratitude, appreciation as a business owner. Really, it's been a very interesting journey for myself as a business owner and as a sales professional for the last 4 or 5 years since launching the Mr. Thank You movement, because in a lot of ways, it's been this experience of very, very ethereal, very emotional, very like, hey, this is all about gratitude and connection and appreciation. And that's great. And then there's also this place of like, and I'm a business owner and I'm a salesperson. Even though I'm a business owner, I always consider myself a salesperson. And so it's been this really interesting, delicate balance of like, how do I really show up authentically as myself? And I think that really that is both, right? For me, it is this, heartfelt value in human connection. And there's also this desire to be a kick-ass business person and a hustler and a worker and someone who is making an impact in the world. So we think Thank You Thursdays is going to be a great platform. Initially, we'll be launching a podcast probably in the next few months. We have a coaching program I've been running for the last 3 years. It's been pretty close off, but we're going to be opening that up in a few months as well as we revamp it. And I just wanted to take a moment to begin with the first Thank You Thursdays, thinking about something that's really authentic to me. That is I just got a letter in the mail from my nephew. And that letter has escaped me. I was hoping to read it, which is whatever. I'll tell you what's in it. So my nephew, Alexander, he is about 12 or 13 years old. And he sent me this thank you card appreciating me for a donation I made to his band, his school band. And I appreciate getting the handwritten card. I'm sure his brother, my brother, encouraged me, his dad, to to send that card. But here's what's valuable about this experience was I remember what it was like when he called me on the phone to ask for a donation. Now, first of all, you need to understand how I am as a person. I don't like I don't like parents asking me for money for their kids. It's just I don't like it. It's for me. I am a firm believer that if a child wants something, they need to go ask for it. And so my brother sent me a text message, or actually my sister-in-law sent me a text message and says, hey, Alexander is raising money for his band. Here's a link. Would you like to donate some money? And I replied to her like I do any parent who reaches out to me for donations. And I said, I am happy to donate any money if Alexander will call me directly. And it's an interesting thing to say that because I don't want to necessarily offend the parents, but I also want them to know that's not how this is going to work. If this kid wants some money, they got to come to me directly to ask for it. So I said, hey, if he really wants some donations, I'd be happy to donate some money, but he does need to call me directly. I'm a firm believer. Maybe it's because of my early sales experience that I had to ask for every sale. I had to be uncomfortable to get what I want. And I think that all of us should do the same. I think all of us for children, I think it's a missing skill to ask for what you want, to develop the confidence and courage. I made my sister do this. Anytime she said her daughter was selling Girl Scout cookies, I said, I will gladly buy some as soon as she calls me. and she learned to call me every year. And ultimately I would make my donation. I would for her, I would buy Girl Scout cookies, even though I wouldn't eat them. I would give most of them away. I would eat some of them. Let's be real. So he calls me. My nephew calls me and says, hey, Uncle John, just want to let you know I've got a band fundraiser. We're trying to raise money for new instruments. Would you like to donate some money? And I said, yeah, of course. He says, okay, well, how much would you like to donate? And I said, I don't know. How about $100? And for me, I think when someone's doing something, a charity, I think that, $20 is fine or $40 is fine. But I think for whatever reason, for me, $100 is like relatively significant. And I remember being a kid doing fundraisers, and it's usually like, a jogathon. And it's like, I'll get a couple bucks here, a couple bucks there. And I might collectively raise a few $100s. But I feel that it's important to me to be generous. And I have certain values. I'll actually share one that's particularly important to me around abundance and generosity. But I think that being generous when someone is asking for support is important. So I said, how about $100? You might as well have said $1,000 because he was like, oh my gosh, $100? Like, yeah, sure. Like there may have been one or only a couple other people who have donated that much, but you could tell it meant a lot to him. And so I gave him my credit card and that was it, and donated $100. Now, why am I sharing this with you? Because a couple things. Number one, I think it's important that if kids are going through this, they're asking for money, that we be generous, but that we ultimately also challenge them to do it themselves. I do not believe, I believe personally that we are too much babying a lot of kids, and parents are doing things for their children. And the only way they're going to learn to be independent is to learn to be independent, to ask for things that they want and need. And it's better for their soul. It's better for their psychology. It's better for their future. So that's part one. Second thing is, I think it's been a value for me for a long time to make generosity a part of my life. We do tithe to our church. Overall, we tithe to different charities and things. Do I do 10% of our income? Not yet. I think we would like to get up to that. But I remember just earlier in my life, one of my early mentors named Blair Berkeley. He was one of my first managers at the Cutco company. And one of the things that he taught me is that, you need to prepay for your life. You're starting to make a lot of money in sales. Like, don't just blow it on things that are fun. Plan for things. And I remember starting to like prepay my monthly rent when I was in college. I remember prepaying my tuition. I remember having some money set aside a little bit, like it might have been like $20 a week for like my I called it my Vegas account because I used to go to Vegas once a year, but it was my fun account, and I would always donate some money there. And I remember just growing up Catholic, like tithing was an important part, and I thought I should do that sooner. And so I started taking a portion of every dollar that I made in sales and put it into an account. I'm talking like starting at like 19 and 20. And I remember being like 22 or 23, and friends my age were trying to raise money for things. And they would ask me for a donation, and I would say, sure. And how's like $100 or $150 or $500? And they'd be blown away because they're like, you're like 22. Like, why are you that? Like, my parents aren't even donating that much. And I think for me, it never felt like it was a takeaway, like it was removing something from me or like hard to give. It was like, no, like this is a value. I care about this. I'm budgeting money aside because I think it's important. And I'm going to wrap with this, which is, so I have affirmations that I read every morning. Ideally every morning. I don't necessarily do it every morning, but I try to. And so I was reading over my affirmations this morning, and this is one that I wanted to share with you that I think is relevant to what we're talking about. And this is called one of my values is career of contribution. And I'm going to wrap after I say this. So here's why having a career of contribution, meaning a job that makes a difference in the world that I feel good doing. That's what it means. But here's what I say. Having a career of contribution is important to me because it allows me to step into my God-given gifts as a communicator every day. I make a difference that impacts people's families and lives. It helps me earn wealth and means to allow us to live a life on our terms and play generous with those in need or doing something important in the world. That last part is really important because that's what it all comes down to. Why do I work so hard in my business, my career? Because it's not just for me, it's that I get to be a contribution. And if we keep that in mind of like, someone said this a couple weeks ago at a conference I was speaking at, and I love the idea, which is that being wealthy is a double blessing, right? Being wealthy is a double blessing. When you are wealthy, you get to do things that you care about, and you get to support people doing things that matter to them that may not have the money to do it. People going on a church mission or starting a charity or doing something that is important and matters to them. And for me, it creates so much value providing that for people that I want it to be a consistent thing that is always in existence in my life. So anyways, that's my Thank You Thursdays today, which is really my experience of I felt some gratitude getting that letter from my nephew, but I think it's also, there's a lot of lessons in the things that went around that. So hope you guys enjoyed this live. I will be going live every Thursday. If you're watching the recording, tell me, how does this play out for you? How is generosity important to you? How do you show up with your own tithing? Maybe where is there an opportunity for you to grow and get better in this area? I'd love to hear from you. Drop some comments, and we'll talk to you guys again soon. Peace out.